Healing when to push versus forcing. What usually happens in your life when you catch yourself, or looking back, hindsight's 2020, looking back on your life, when any time you have forced something, usually the outcome in my personal experience has just been that forcing leads me to regret. Forcing leads me to making decisions where I am looking to control things which I do not have control over. And that is exactly the essence of anxiety and what stress comes from. And it's just so valuable to notice, to pay attention to when you might be forcing something upon someone else, wanting a situation that you don't regulate, a situation which you have no control over to be different. That force is essentially the opposite of acceptance. And what has helped me so much is learning to accept the things which I can't change. So there's a balance, though, because sometimes we have to push. So what's the distinction between force and push? Immediately, it has to do with experience and intuitively understanding. Well, this is a situation where it makes sense to push a little bit. I'm not going to force here, but sometimes hard conversations have to happen. Sometimes you have been lying, or not lying, but bullshitting yourself too much. And you have to push through your ego's bullshit. So I don't think, well, I know that there isn't a one size fits all solution here. It's a nuanced distinction. But the idea of forcing anything has never helped me.
Yeah, this is such a good point. It hasn't helped me neither. So I feel like when you force things, then you're doing things out of your ego. And then this certain inner tension creeps up and it's like this, oh, but I want this now, no matter what. And that's the moment you block the entire flow. And this reminds me because yesterday evening I was listening to Trendsurfing, and he was talking about intention. So the idea is to not create excess potential when you have a goal, when you want to go somewhere. And forcing is the ego, but having intention, a flowing intention, this is like entering or connecting to the universe's flow, and then things fall into place and you also allow them to happen, so you kind of create the space. And this is without force. And he gave the example of, it's like your intention is like, you say, oh, I go to the mailbox and collect the letters. There's no excess potential involved. You just go there, collect the letters, and are done. And for the things you'd like to happen, you can adopt the same feeling. And so it's like, oh, I go to the mailbox, grab the letters, or I just push the business to 10K per month. It's the same feeling, it's the same thing, and there's no excess potential. So I feel this is a valuable way, also like kind of entering a certain energy or a certain state to do things without forcing.
Flowing intention is a phrase which, when I hear you mention that idea, running the business to 10K a month, that it can start as a healthy intention. And then somewhere along the line, we can fall into a lack of observation in starting to trip over friction points and to start to want things to be different and to force. That's where that force creeps in. So I think what's so valuable is to create a lifestyle which raises your observation, because then you're going to be capable of catching the force which obstructs the flowing intention. And the bottom line here is that operating through flow is going to get you better results, faster, more tangible, more enjoyable results than forcing things. So I'm not here to say that when you force something, you won't get results, but the truth, the distinction is that the quality of your results when you are operating through a flowing state of mind is going to be so much more favorable for your future, for everything that you care about in relation to operating through a forcing state of mind.
Yeah, and you'll also be way less exhausted because I feel like forcing things, it just requires a lot of energy. And I mean, I've done this too multiple times in my life, and I got results, but I was just exhausted afterwards. And yeah, and the quality of the results wasn't the way I'd like them to be. And then on other occasions, like, when doing things with flowing intention, then suddenly they fall into place, and I'm like, "What? This was easy." And this is remarkable, and I feel exactly what you said, like observation and awareness. So, I mean, this is a trainable skill. And just catching yourself, like, am I forcing again? Is this like my default way of doing things? Or am I entering flow? And yeah, it's just like constantly monitoring yourself and getting feedback from your system. Is it forcing? Is there inner tension? Or does this feel like, oh yeah, I'm flowing and things are falling into place?
And it's the emphasis on the trainable skill. It that's valuable. Just to begin to realize that life is, it's a game that's continuous evolution and progression. So like when you look at your tendencies, your biases, it's not that you're a bad person, that you have bad habits. There's just certain things that may not be aligned with your most optimal evolution. So you don't have to like fall into any sort of guilt trap here. If you realize you're forcing things, if you feel that you have certain tendencies which are not for your best self, but what you do have to do is to cut through denial, to start to be totally transparent with yourself about what you've done that's gotten you where you are, and if where you are right now is aligned with where you want to be. Because the closer that you can get in relation to full transparency, the more likely you're going to be to flow, because the lack of transparency within you, it's usually going to lead you to force things because things are not clear. So there's a lot of concepts here that branch together, that interconnect. And that's what it's supposed to be. There's no one change, but there is a bunch, hundreds of thousands of small micro shifts that are going to make it easier for you to flow. Easier to flow, better results, happier life.
Yeah, you said this so well. It's I have the feeling like most of us are trained to believe we need to force things to get results. I mean, this was kind of like my default, and I didn't even know there's a different way. Like, oh, what, you can flow and then get results. You don't have to force and work incredibly hard and exhaust yourself. And this is like the first step, what you said, out of denial. Because, like, when you were programmed to believe this is the only way, then you're kind of denying there's a different way, or you're closed up to this idea. And getting into this open state of mind and realizing, oh, there may be a different way. And then just maybe just trying. And then you see, oh, okay, so this is actually a way to achieve results without burning yourself out. And yeah, this is, as you said, it's a million micro shifts, it's observation, it's daily training, and but I feel it's worthwhile. So when you kind of enter this state, it's beautiful because then things just fall into place.
And when I hear you bring up like that phrase, hard work and exhaustion, it's it's valuable to realize that hard work has its place. But the cool thing is, inevitably, what starts hard, what feels like work, as you progress through your internal evolution, the the flavor changes and it begins to feel more like an enjoyable journey, playful progression, and just almost effortless progression. So that's the distinction. It's not that you don't have work to do or that pushing isn't healthy, but just realizing that, oh, like you said, maybe there's a different way to do this. And hey, if that's you, if you're sitting in that spot right now where you feel maybe there's a different way to do this, let me tell you, don't believe me, but there is a different way to do things. So test that out for yourself. Don't believe me because I could be bullshitting you. But if this has been valuable to you, I'll have a link in description linking to Myra's Twitter. You can DM her there if you have any questions for her. And I'll have another link for the same thing on my end. If you have any questions for me, if you're interested in working one-on-one and accelerating your development, creating clarity, deleting stress, becoming someone who you truly respect, physically, mentally, spiritually, clarity, high performance, confidence, discipline, and just getting rid of your stress, anxiety, or any sort of lack of direction. So I appreciate you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a like, comment. What was the most valuable thing that we touched on here? If you have any friends whom are interested in this sort of content, it'd mean the world to me if you just share it with them. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.